welcome traders to our midweek technical analysis video. So not too much to go over here. So as you can see, if you remember, this was where we last left off. So sort of this little bit of low time frame divergence that we saw here. We initially found that price found a resistance at the level of around 3,345, with price then dropping back down. We was expecting price to hold at this level of 3,330. However, as you can see, price did in fact drop down, with the first level of support found at 3,300 solid. This was with the help of the New York session starting up. We saw some bearish momentum due to some positive economic events taking place around the dollar. As you can see from there, we sort of began to consolidate and then slowly move upwards throughout the rest of the day into the Tuesday, with volume picking back up again before closing back down in the Asian session, and then building up the volume just before the London session and New York session today. We then saw a continuation of bearish momentum, as you can see. So we saw some consolidation up. We saw a bullish pattern. However, it was on the lower time frames. As you can see, if I go ahead and draw in a trend line, catching as many wicks as possible, you can see that we did in fact create higher highs and higher lows on the lower time frames. For example, if I go into our minute 15, you'll see it in a little bit of a clearer fashion. So you can see that we came up, made higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. Some of them were equal, some of them were lower than others or higher than others. But as you can see, we did start to stagger up before we got to this sort of moment here where we started consolidating between 3,330 and 3,320. We tested around this area a couple of times before we then saw a bearish move, which then broke through the support of 3,320, driving price all the way down just below the 3,300s, with price eventually finding support at 3,290. So what does that look like for gold as of right now? What could we expect to see? So with current price action and with current candlestick structure, we're going to anticipate that price is going to continue somewhat towards that 3,263 area. If you remember that from maybe a month or two ago, the level of 3,263 was a very, very significant pivotal point for gold, and it sort of determines whether we was going to see an overall bearish bias for gold or an overall bullish bias for gold. So as it goes for a midweek technical analysis, is pretty much all we can go over. I know it's short, but there's no point waffling on about too much information that's unnecessary. So if we are to see bearish momentum continue and this support broken of 3,290, we're then going to be looking for the level of 3,263 as a secondary support level. However, if we do go down to our minute 15, you can see some sort of bullish divergence here starting to create after we have obviously touched this level. Obviously, if we do see the bullish momentum continue and this initial sort of step down cleared, so for example this level of around 3,308 roughly, give or take, we're then going to be looking for price to come back up either 3,330 or 3,320, which was the initial consolidation area, the top side support and top side resistance and bottom side support, until we then saw price react throughout New York session today and then drop down. Obviously, we do have NFP and other economic events that are going to take place that will indefinitely cause volatility and increased volume within the gold market. So we'll definitely be interested to see how that plays out on Friday. However, we are just going to anticipate that we are going to see a continuation of some bearish momentum from here on out, unless we then see price start to push up from this level onwards. If we start to see some bearish divergence where we see price pull back into this area, the next main level of support on the higher time frames that we're going to be taking into account is anywhere in and around this level of around 3,265. So with that being said, that's going to be our midweek technical analysis video. As always, I hope you have all enjoyed, and I will catch you in our post-week market review. Peace.